welcome back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the one and only Toni Morrison. I wanted to do a dedicated video talking about her works and basically a guide to either where to start, other authors that she has inspired or authors that she has published. Again, just a guide of her literature. I have read all of Toni Morrison's fictional works, and I remember when I wanted to do this, I wish there was basically a guide for me to see where I should start and where I shouldn't and all of that, because if you know anything about Toni Morrison, was a brilliant mind, and I mean a mind like no other, but she can be kind of difficult to read. Again, I just went in basically blind. It did take me years obviously to read her works. And I do understand when people say that, she is their favorite writer. So again, we're going to go through all of her fictional works. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so quick backstory. The first time I read Toni Morrison, I was 19 years old. The first book that I ever read by Toni Morrison is a book called Jazz, which is this book. Jazz is a book that you're not going to forget. I haven't read this book since I was 19 years old, yet I cannot forget. Just like the book says, it says Jazz is a story of passion, jealousy, murder, and redemption, of sex and spirituality, slavery, liberation, country, and city. Again, Toni, real deep. Okay, that's one thing about Toni. She's so deep. You have a man, I believe he's a married man. He was messing with a young girl, and something happens to that young girl. And I believe I think the wife finds out, and she does something that's, yeah, she does something she kind of had no business doing. But at the same time, you kind of like you feel for her because her husband was messing around, uh, and this young lady is young. But you just get the backstory of obviously the couple and then the young lady. I would say for this one was not too hard to navigate because, like I was telling you guys earlier, with Toni Morrison, her books are they're complex. She uses a lot of metaphors. She really makes you think, and because her mind was like no other and it just was full of, intellect, she can be difficult. So if you miss one word, one sentence, one line, it's almost kind of like you have to start over. I would say though, what I would recommend if you have not read Toni Morrison before, if you would do immersive reading, meaning, listen to it and physically have, the book. I wish I would have done that. And I learned after I had read a couple where I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to it. Now, what I would recommend if you have never read Toni Morrison ever and you want to get into her works, where I would start is Sula. This, in my opinion, is the easiest, and I use easy and I use easiest very loosely, to understand her works. It's kind of straight to the point in some aspects. You basically have two friends, Sula and Neil. They've known each other since they were young girls. You see them as kids, you see them as adults. And they have just this strong, kinship, this bondship, this sisterhood. And something that Sula does just ruins the whole thing. And you see how it goes. One thing too about Sula, you're not going to forget her at all. You're not going to forget Sula. You're not going to forget her family. Sula was so authentic and unapologetic. And Sula did what she wanted to do, where she wanted to do, how she wanted to do, when she wanted to do. And sometimes it would hurt other people. But I would say the one thing that I did like about Sula is she didn't care how people felt about her or anything like that. I'm going to do what I want to do. And she lived a very full life, much fuller than Nell. Nell was concerned about what other people would think. You know what I mean? Now, as you can see, I have two copies of this. This is probably my favorite book of Toni Morrison's. And I always would recommend this. This is my recent copy because last year for Lex Reads Book Club, we read Sula. And Sula is a very good um, book for book clubs. And as you can see, both cases I had, tabbed it, but this second time, I mean, girl, tabbed it to death. And I don't think I wrote in this, no. But as you can see, I have my tabs. I've read this. This is the only book of Toni's that I've read twice. All right, so let's get into her most popular books. So first, The Bluest Eye. This is a very deep book. You got to get your mind right for this because this is dealing with incest, child neglect. It's dealing with the child abuse in general. Not going to forget Pacola, that 11-year-old that prays for blue eyes. She sees blue eyes as a symbol of beauty, and we know in society, blonde hair and blue eyes, that's the epitome of beauty, which in my opinion, I've seen some toe up blonde hair and blue eye people, okay? I like the backstory of how Toni Morrison even came to this concept of this book. Toni was a little girl. She said that there was a girl that she knew, beautiful, child, and they were quarreling about the existence of God. And Toni was very sure that he existed, and the other girl was not. And she told her, well, I can prove to you that he is not real. And she said, how? And she says, I have been praying for blue eyes and he has never delivered. Again, very, very difficult to read. I would say, too, this is personally for me, it's a one and done. I read it once. I don't need to read it again. I don't want to revisit it again. But it is a very profound story. I do believe that I think that I think every person should read this story, but I think every Black girl should read this, story at least once. Next is Beloved. This one, to be honest with you, everyone again talks about Beloved. It's not my favorite, and I wish I would have listened to this also while I read it. Again, I love the backstories of, Toni's works, how she wrote these, incredible books. And this is about, Margaret Gardner, loosely inspired, where, was an enslaved woman, ended up killing, her children for them to escape enslavement. So that's the historical part. The fictional part is that the baby that the woman had killed comes back and haunts them. All right. Now, this is a movie that who's in it? Oprah Winfrey, I think Danny Glover, Kimberly Elise, and Tandy Newton. Not my favorite. It actually flopped. It didn't do well. I don't think this was meant to be adapted, if you ask me. I think that there's some books that don't need to be adapted. It just almost kind of like it just can't, you cannot, it just won't work. And I think that movie did not work. I don't think it was not the right time. I mean, the cast was amazing because those people that I named, they can act. No memorizing their lines, but I don't think that was meant to be a movie. And actually, in one of the documentaries, I think she talks about that, and I think Oprah also talks about it in the documentary, just stating that how the movie didn't do too well and all of that. So yeah. And then lastly is Song of Solomon. And this is another one everyone always talks about. I know Michelle Obama says it's one of her favorites. Oprah Winfrey loves it. She always reciting, passages from it. Personally, mm-mm. I think this is the first one I actually did listen to, and I'm glad I did. The beauty of Song of Solomon, again, the writing is fantastic. I just wasn't really story didn't really do anything for me. I do understand the importance of it, but it didn't do nothing for me. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I kind of remember Macon. I remember, is it Pilot? I I oh, this is sad, but I can't even give you a synopsis of this book. I know that he couldn't read. Girl, y'all look it up because I can't. And also, too, this edition, it just says Morrison is a terrific storyteller. Her writing evokes the joyful riches of life. I, y'all. Okay, let's get into some of the later works that not a lot of people talk about. First is A Mercy. First of all, I love this edition. Look at this. Oh, so pretty. This is set in 1618. It says Jacob is a Anglo-Dutch trader and adventurer with a small holding a harsh north. Despite his distaste for dealing in flesh, he takes a small slave girl in payment for a bad debt from a plantation owner in Catholic Maryland. Remember, I did not listen to, and I wish I would have. Next is Love. So pretty. Now, this one, I did really enjoy this one. So, and this one is also a little bit easier to navigate. You have a man, he owns a hotel and he has recently passed. But this man, y'all, is like Papa was a Rolling Stone because he has all these women that are basically fighting for, I believe, his inheritance. And the women don't know about each other from what I can recall. And so you're just seeing like his relationship with each woman and how it just went. Now, this one I do believe I would want to explore again because when I read Jazz, I wanted to read more of her stories. I remember at that time, I was like, okay, I want to read the ones that not a lot of people are talking about. And so, of course, this one was the next one that I read, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. And as you can see, Toni Morrison's books are not very long. She has that ability to write powerful, books that are well rounded, yet it's not 400 pages and all of that. Like she just knows how to write it in that it's so precise, yet you're getting a full story and you are satisfied. Next is Tar Baby. This one has some magical realism. This is probably the first time that I ever explored that genre and didn't really mind it. You have this couple, this millionaire couple. They have a visitor from their niece, Janine. She's been educated, she's well rounded, well traveled. In comes a young man named Sun, who I believe she's known for a long time. Sun is the total opposite, unrefined, uneducated. You live on the streets, all of that. Yeah, that's it. Again, I'm being very vague because there's so much more in it. There's so many other characters. Next is Paradise. When I listened to, and I'm glad I did because I had started reading it and I was like, oh no, I can't. I cannot. This is about a town that's called Ruby. It says a book that begins deep in Oklahoma early morning one morning in 1976. 9 men from Ruby in defense of the one all black town worth the pain assaults the nearly convict and the women in it. I think also this one, I remember she mentioned in her documentary that there was like a prison riot after I guess some inmates were reading this book and she was so like impressed about it. And she's like, my book is that powerful where there was a riot in prison because it's kind of coming to me. I do remember those nuns and it was a convent. Yeah. The rumor that a a mother was knocked down the stairs by her like ruthless daughter. Yeah. Now I can remember that this one was a little bit harder for me to navigate. That's why I did do the audio, and I still was kind of like, uh, yeah, because I just remember bits and pieces of it. Next is Home. Now, this is one of her later works. This is about a man, Frank Money. Frank Money was in the Korean War. He's come back home to the South, I believe, and he's dreading it. I also believe that he has a problem with, I think, some addiction, but it's also during a time where they were experimenting on black women medically, and I believe he finds something, he gives a whiff of that, and his younger sister Cece is going to be one of those candidates and he's trying to save her. I would say one thing that I did enjoy about this book and did not know, just the perspective of a black man in the Korean War. I did not know that there were black men in the Korean War. Also, you learn why Frank dreads coming back home, and it's not just the injustice, because this is in like 1950. It's not just the injustice of blacks in the South. There are some secrets, some lies, there's some deceptions within his family and his life, and you see what went on. Then, lastly, this is probably my second favorite book of hers. This is her last book, fictional book that she wrote. And this one is about a young girl, Bride. Bride is very, very, very dark. And her mom does not like that because I believe her father was very light, and I think her mother and all of that. And she does not like her at all. And it causes her to not show love to Bride at all. And Bride does something that causes harm to another individual just for her mother to love her and console her and all of that. And yeah. No, one thing I loved about this book and loved about Bride, she is a darker hue. She embraces that and more than embraces it. She wears white to accentuate her color. And you might have people say, some crazy stuff or whatever. Bride does not care. And I love that because when talk about colorism, especially, throughout the black community, of course, those characters, they didn't like, the way they looked, especially their skin color. they didn't embrace it. If you, especially if you read books during the Harlem Renaissance, a lot of the characters that were dark skinned, like The Buck of the Berry by Wallace Thurman, and Malou hated the way that she looked. Okay. But Bride, she like, no, I'm wearing this white so you can see how dark my skin is. A good lesson in this book that talks about just the importance of children and how children remember, you know what I mean? And the importance of them. Also the smartness. Because children are very smart. They see things that us as adults don't see. Thoroughly enjoyed this book. I know a lot of people, they didn't really like a lot of her later writings. I would say I think I enjoyed them personally. I enjoyed them a tiny bit better. Um, I mean, again, overall, Toni's writing is it's a lot. It really is. In order to just get a fullness of her works, I do think that you should listen to her while reading it. And I would start with Sula. Now there are some authors like Tari Jones. She is a huge fan of Toni Morrison, and also if you read her works, she does that same thing with the metaphors a little bit with just like Toni did, but she does it in her own way. I know if you read Ken, just the play on words, way that she talks about and describes like trifling, the terminology trifling, that's a Toni. You know what I mean? Also say another person that Toni actually discovered and published is a author named Gail Jones. Gail Jones actually is still alive. She is a unsung, underrated author, but you have to get your mind right when you read her works. The book that she's known for is probably Eva's Man. You gotta get your mind right for that one. She does the same thing with Toni, where it's she doesn't write a lot, where her novels are not just thick, but they're concise. It's a well-rounded story, but you have to get your mind right. I would recommend her. And she's also an author that not a lot of people talk about. She's a Black woman. If you wanted to read, more Black women literature, she'll be one that, I recommend. If you are a fan of Toni, you will probably be a fan of hers. Another story that I like of Toni's, it is a short story, and I believe it's called Recitative. You get it on audio. I think it's only an hour and something, and the narrator, Bonnie Turpin, who is fantastic, she is narrating it. That is about, I believe, a two girls that are in an orphanage or something like that. One is white and one is Black, but you don't know which one is white and which one is Black, and it's up to the reader to decide who is white, who is Black. But yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to this video. Again, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a guide. Toni Morrison's works. Say these are the easiest ones to navigate. God Help the Child, Jazz, Sula, and Love. I think personally the most difficult ones, probably Paradise, a little bit of Tar Baby. Personally for me, Song of Solomon. But I think that's more personal. I'd really like to know from you guys, have you read Toni Morrison's works? Have you read all of her works? Are you interested in reading her works? Which ones are your favorites? Which ones are your least favorites? Let me know down in the comment section. So that's all I have for you guys, and I'll be back with more Black books.